It's Saturday, and it's time to talk technology as we kick off the Saturday Experts program here on Power Talk Radio. And Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, is with us once again. Hello, Luis.
Hello, Mark. How are you?
I'm well. Hey, we're 1 week away from the Monterey Jazz Festival. Are you gearing up for it?
Absolutely, yeah. We will be kicking it off with a couple of gala events that will be celebrating Tim Jackson, the artistic director for the last couple of decades. He's retiring and turning over the reins to a new artistic director, but he's going to be celebrated both before the event and during the event itself that weekend. But then the fun really kicks off on Friday night. Have a bunch of really good acts on Friday and then throughout the weekend, and it looks to be a nice, so far the weather forecast looks good, so it should be an opportunity for anyone that wants to come out and experience the Jazz Festival. The garden or garden stage area and non-arena tickets are pretty affordable, and you should come out and check it out.
Okay. Now, who are you looking forward to seeing this year? Anyone in particular?
So there's a gal named Samara Joy that's an amazing singer that I'm really looking forward to seeing. Snark Puppy is going to be there. They're a very interesting band. And, of course, some of the Diane Reeves and some of the more traditional artists that I always enjoy listening to will be playing in the arena and also on out and about. So great weekend for music, for sure.
All right. Sounds great. And just to go back to mention Tim Jackson, he's retiring. And I don't know, to me, it just seems like he started yesterday, like he's still the new kid on the block, but he's been there for, 25 years?
Easily, yeah. I mean, he's been there, he's only the second artistic director after Jimmy Lyons.
Oh my
when
gosh.
you think about it, this festival that's been around for over 60 years has only had two people leading the music and developing the acts every year. And it's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
It's a very unique in the industry.
That's very true. Hey, before we get to our big story for the day, just want to mention we had an event happen earlier this week involving Cash App and Square, and their services were down for a good part of a day. A lot of people thought it was a hack, but it wasn't actually a hack or malware. It was something that went wrong internally at the company.
Yeah, this is typical for these kind of outages where somebody makes configuration changes and, they test them ahead of time typically, and theoretically they should make no impact. But in this case, there was a change that was made to something called the domain naming service, and it impacted the routing of traffic and data for the better part of a day, like you said. It really became a big issue for a lot of folks who do business or transact business only using Square or Cash App. So it wasn't a hack, and it wasn't, at least from what they're saying, it wasn't any sort of cyber incident, but just a simple mistake made at the back end by a few engineers that were making some changes.
And of course, Square is used by a lot of small businesses, particularly small restaurants, as a means of people being able to pay their bill. I know that a lot of outdoor events, like if you go to a farmer's market or an outdoor festival, a lot of times the vendors they'll have Square and they'll use it with their cell phone with the attachment on the phone that they'll swipe your card with. And that's how they are able to make the sale. And I bet that put a lot of people, it shut them down for the day.
Absolutely. And it's unfortunate too, because one of the things that appeals to small vendors or, small businesses about using Square is how easy it is to use and set up. And, it is not as cumbersome as some of the older payment systems when you want to sign up for online payment. But the downside is that, you're dependent upon the infrastructure that it runs on. And if that breaks, then Square breaks.
Hey, let's go ahead and get to our big story today. And that is about a hack that hit the MGM Casinos and a lot of their properties starting on September 10th. It was something called the Scattered Spider. Was it earlier than September 10th, or was it just on September 10th that it started?
No, it happened, started September 10th. I mean, the chances are the cyber gang that launched this attack has been probing and accessing their systems for a while, because they finally, typically when they unleash these payloads, they've already been in there for a while and have been gathering information. And so this attack, if you will, has really impacted MGM Resorts, and that's a number of properties, not the MGM hotel alone. We're talking about the other things that they own, including Aria and Bellagio and, Delano and Excalibur. There's a bunch of them. And a lot of the folks that are customers and consumers that were trying to just do their normal things like gamble, some of the machines aren't working. They couldn't do things like room service because the back-end systems were down. That one of the things that happens when you have a cyber incident like this, the IT team immediately takes down any system that's suspected to be infected. And in this case, it seems to be a lot of systems. And although the MGM claims that patrons aren't being impacted and things are working as normal, the people that are there are telling you a different story. And there's a lot of posts on Twitter/X and other social media sites talking about how difficult it is for people to do things. So if you're planning a trip to Vegas this weekend and staying at an MGM property, you might be forewarned that you might need to use some patience while you're there.
And the threat group was called Scattered Spider that was behind this. Who are these people and what were they doing it for?
So this is a gang that's known to target casinos in particular. They actually targeted Caesars earlier this year, and word has it, although Caesars denies this, that they ended up having to pay a pretty significant ransom to get their systems back online. And they know that casinos are targets. And despite the fact that casinos employ some of the best cyber protection out there, I mean, they obviously know that they're targets and do everything they can to protect themselves. They still are potential victims. And there are these criminal gangs out there that specialize in targeting these high visible, high value organizations because they can. And once they get through, then the upside is really, really high. And unfortunately for the MGM, they're just the latest victim of this gang that has been around for a while. Mm-hmm. And like I said, been hitting large targets like casinos and other organizations that are very, very cash rich.
And they have not been able to solve this yet or paid the ransom to be able to get their systems back. And they're basically working within their own computer networks to try and get things straightened out.
Yeah, I mean, when you have an attack like this, even a small business, if you stop it in its tracks, and, we've gotten called into situations where somebody's gotten hit by ransomware or some other cyber attack, and they ask us to help them. It still takes time to make sure that things are ready to get back online. You just don't flip a switch and turn everything back on. You want to make sure that everything is safe and everything is completely clean, and you aren't going to create a bigger problem by turning the systems back on. So even if they're confident that they've been able to isolate the infection, if you will, they still are going to be very, very cautious and take every precaution to make sure that they don't cause any more problems by turning things back on.
Luis Alvarez joining us today with the word on the Scattered Spider attack at the MGM Resorts. Online, you'll find them at alvareztg.com. At AlvarezTG is the Twitter handle. And Luis, the I-Team that can help you out with network security at your business or home, what's their number?
Give us a call at 866-78-I-Team. That's 866-784-8326.